In an alternate universe, Leia Organa is trained by Palpatine. Palpatine had all of Padme Amidala's ships bugged and tracked. He had this done long ago to aid in his assassination attempts. On his way to Mustafar to aid Anakin, he dispatched an Imperial raid to track her ship to Polis Massa and retrieve Padme's child. The small covert Imperial strike team moved with ruthless efficiency, guided by the beacon Palpatine had placed on Padme's ship. Their orders clear: capture the infant and leave no witnesses. Inside the medical facility, droids and medical staff scurried about, unaware of the impending danger. The strike team stormed the room where Padme lay, weakened and barely conscious from childbirth. They quickly scanned the room and found the newborn Leia, unaware of the existence of her twin brother, Luke. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, sensing the imminent threat, acted swiftly. Obi-Wan took Luke and fled through a hidden passage, while Yoda stayed behind momentarily to delay the Imperials. The strike team, focused on their mission, grabbed Leia and made their escape, leaving chaos in their wake. Surrounded by metal walls and shadows, her only glimpse of the outside world came through a small port, a narrow window that allowed her to see the bustling cityscape of Coruscant. The harsh, minimal lighting created a stark contrast between her confined existence and the vibrant life outside. Palpatine made life difficult for Leia, ensuring she faced constant challenges and hardships. Her daily routine was rigorous, filled with demanding physical and mental training. Yet, despite the harsh conditions, Palpatine painted himself in a benevolent light. He frequently visited her, presenting himself as a caring guardian. He spoke to her in soothing tones, telling her that the empire he was building was for her future. He filled her young mind with tales of treachery and danger. He warned her that there were people out there who wanted to harm her, including her own father, whom he described as a traitor and a threat. He insisted that her isolation and the strict regimen were necessary to keep her safe, to protect her from those who wished her ill. Palpatine told her she was vital to the Empire's future and that he could not afford to have her hurt or lost. These manipulations planted the seeds of darkness within Leia. She began to view the world outside her confined space with suspicion and fear. The constant reinforcement of danger and betrayal shaped her perception, making her distrustful and wary. Palpatine's dual approach of hardship and twisted affection ensured that she saw him as her only protector and the Empire as her only safe haven. As Leia grew, her abilities in the Force began to manifest. Palpatine encouraged this, guiding her training in ways that emphasized control, power, and aggression. He subtly nurtured her anger and fear, knowing that these emotions would fuel her connection to the dark side. He praised her when she showed strength and cunning, reinforcing the idea that her power made her unique and indispensable to the Empire. By the end of her first decade, Leia was a child forged in darkness, with a distorted view of the galaxy. She believed in the Empire's cause, convinced of her importance and the dangers that lurked beyond her small window. Palpatine's influence was profound, and the seeds he had planted began to take root, growing into a deep loyalty to him and a readiness to embrace the path he had laid out for her. As Leia grew, it became evident that she possessed a natural gift for speaking and politics. Even as a young child, she displayed an uncanny ability to articulate her thoughts and persuade those around her. This talent did not go unnoticed by Palpatine, who, as a master politician himself, saw immense potential in her. He was delighted by her aptitude and began to nurture this aspect of her training with great enthusiasm. Palpatine started by teaching Leia the fundamentals of rhetoric and persuasion. He would hold long sessions where he discussed the intricacies of political strategy, the importance of understanding one's audience, and the art of negotiation. He would often recount his own experiences, sharing stories of how he navigated the complex landscape of the Galactic Senate, manipulated public opinion, and outmaneuvered his political rivals. Leia absorbed these lessons with a keen mind and a natural flair. She quickly learned how to craft compelling arguments, sway opinions, and read the subtle cues of body language and tone. Palpatine encouraged her to practice these skills in various scenarios, often staging mock debates and diplomatic negotiations. He provided her with the best tutors in political science and diplomacy, ensuring she had a comprehensive understanding of galactic politics, history, and law. Under Palpatine's tutelage, Leia's political acumen grew sharper and more refined. He pushed her to think critically and strategically, teaching her to anticipate her opponent's moves and to always have a plan in place. He instilled in her the importance of maintaining a calm and composed demeanor, even in the face of adversity, and the power of charisma and presence in commanding a room. Palpatine also emphasized the darker aspects of political maneuvering. He taught Leia the value of manipulation and deception, showing her how to exploit weaknesses and use fear as a tool. He encouraged her to view politics as a chess game, where every move and countermove could determine the fate of the galaxy. He groomed her to be not just a participant in the political arena, but a master tactician who could shape the course of events to her advantage. Leia thrived under this guidance. Her natural talents, combined with Palpatine's expert instruction, transformed her into a formidable politician. She learned to wield power with finesse, her speeches and decisions carrying weight and authority. For the next 4 years, Leia's training in the Force intensified and took on a darker, more brutal character. Palpatine demanded nothing less than absolute strength from her. He taught her the Sith Code, instilling in her the belief that peace was a lie, and that only through passion, strength, power, and victory could she achieve true freedom. The training sessions were merciless, designed to break her down and rebuild her into a relentless force of darkness. Palpatine orchestrated brutal trials where Leia was pitted against opponents who were intent on killing her. These adversaries ranged from captured Jedi and skilled mercenaries to dangerous beasts. Each confrontation was a life and death struggle, forcing Leia to tap into her deepest reserves of strength and aggression. Palpatine watched these battles with a cold, calculating eye, praising her victories and punishing any sign of weakness. These experiences honed her combat instincts and fueled her growing hatred and desire for power. Leia was taught various lightsaber forms, each with its own strategic advantages. She became proficient in Form 2, Makashi, known for its elegance and precision, ideal for dueling. Form 3, Sorisu, which focused on defense and energy conservation. And Form 5, Gemso, which emphasized powerful counterattacks and resilience. Despite her skill with the lightsaber, Palpatine emphasized that it was not their greatest weapon. He often told her,
"A lightsaber is merely a tool. The true power lies in bending the Force to your will."
Palpatine's teachings on the Force were comprehensive and ruthless. He taught Leia how to channel her emotions, fear, anger, and hatred, into raw power. She learned to use the Force to enhance her physical abilities, making her faster and stronger than any normal being. He drilled her in telekinesis, teaching her to move objects with her mind, choke her enemies, and unleash devastating Force pushes and pulls. Leia was also taught more insidious powers. Palpatine instructed her in the art of Force lightning, showing her how to summon and control the deadly energy to torture and kill her enemies. He introduced her to Force manipulation techniques, allowing her to influence and control the minds of others, bending them to her will. This included Force persuasion, a subtler technique for extracting information and ensuring obedience. One of the most grueling aspects of her training was her exposure to Force visions. Palpatine guided her through the process of tapping into the dark side to see potential futures and past events. These visions were often horrifying, filled with pain and suffering, designed to desensitize her to fear and instill a sense of inevitability about the dark path she was on. Palpatine also pushed Leia to explore the depths of the dark side through Sith alchemy and ancient rituals. These practices were shrouded in mystery and danger, further immersing her in the dark arts and expanding her understanding of the Force's darker aspects. Throughout these 4 years, Leia's transformation was profound. She emerged as a powerful Sith, her skills in combat and mastery of the Force growing with each passing day. The brutal training forged her into a weapon of darkness, her loyalty to Palpatine unwavering. She believed in the strength of the dark side and embraced her role within the Empire with fierce determination. Leia's journey under Palpatine's cruel tutelage was one of pain and empowerment, molding her into the strongest Sith politician the galaxy had ever seen. Her abilities in the Force, combined with her political acumen, made her a formidable figure, ready to execute Palpatine's vision and bring the galaxy under the shadow of the Empire. Leia was not only the daughter of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, but she also inherited a significant portion of his extraordinary Force potential. Her midichlorian count, while not as high as Anakin's unprecedented levels, was unusually high, registering at an astounding 18,000. This far surpassed that of most Force-sensitive beings, including Palpatine himself. From a young age, her innate connection to the Force was evident. As she progressed through her grueling training, her raw power and potential began to manifest in increasingly formidable ways. Palpatine, who had always sought a powerful apprentice to further his dark ambitions, saw in Leia a potential that exceeded even his greatest expectations. As Leia's training advanced, her abilities grew exponentially. She could manipulate the Force with a precision and power that was rare even among the Sith. Her control over Force lightning became almost effortless, capable of summoning intense electrical storms to annihilate her enemies. Her telekinetic abilities allowed her to lift and crush objects of immense size and weight, and her proficiency in Force persuasion and mind control grew to the point where she could bend the will of even the strongest minds. Leia's combat skills were unparalleled. She could seamlessly integrate her mastery of multiple lightsaber forms into a fluid and deadly fighting style, making her a nearly invincible duelist. Her ability to anticipate and counter her opponent's moves made her a fearsome adversary in any battle. The brutal, life-or-death training sessions had sharpened her instincts and honed her reflexes, making her a perfect embodiment of Sith martial prowess. Palpatine watched with a mix of pride and calculated intent as Leia's power blossomed. He had always planned to have an apprentice who could stand by his side as a true equal, someone who could eventually surpass him and continue the Sith legacy. As Leia's strength grew, it became clear that she was the one he had been waiting for. Recognizing the time had come, Palpatine decided to formally make Leia his apprentice. He knew that with her by his side, the Sith would be stronger than ever, and the Empire's dominance would be unchallenged. Her potential was boundless, and under his guidance, she could become the most powerful Sith in history. But before Leia could fully assume her role as Palpatine's new apprentice, she needed to defeat his current apprentice, Lord Vader. Palpatine summoned Vader to the throne room. As Vader entered, the Emperor addressed him with a mix of cold calculation and twisted affection.
Lord Vader, you have served me well. You've been instrumental in my plans, but your usefulness has come to an end.
Vader stood silently, his breathing the only sound in the tense atmosphere. Palpatine's words were a surprise, but the Sith Lord did not have time to ponder them, as Palpatine continued.
Meet your replacement. Meet my new apprentice and your daughter.
Leia entered the room, her presence radiating dark power. For years, she had been preparing for this moment, driven by Palpatine's manipulations and her own growing strength. Vader was stunned. The revelation that his child had survived was shocking, but the sight of her now, a young woman who looked so much like Padme, broke something inside him. The resemblance was haunting, stirring long-buried memories and emotions. But as he realized that Palpatine had pitted his own daughter against him, his shock turned to a burning fury. This betrayal could not be forgiven. With a roar of rage, Vader turned to strike at Palpatine, intent on ending the torment his master had inflicted. But he was stopped mid-motion, held in place by an overwhelming force. Leia, using the power of the dark side, immobilized him effortlessly. The raw power she wielded was unlike anything Vader had felt before. Before he could complete the thought or make another move, Leia unleashed a torrent of Force lightning. The searing energy struck Vader, sending him crashing to the ground, his body convulsing with pain. As the lightning coursed through him, his life flashed before his eyes. He remembered the moment Padme had told him she was pregnant, the dreams he had of a family, and the hope that had once burned bright within him. But those dreams were now ashes. The woman before him was not the child of his hope, but a dark mirror of his own fall. Leia continued her relentless assault, her face a mask of determination and hatred. Vader's thoughts raced. He saw Padme's face, heard her voice, and felt the sting of his choices. But now, he had no choice but to fight back, to survive. With a desperate effort, Vader summoned the Force to shield himself from the lightning. He pushed himself to his feet, sparks still crackling around him.
Daughter, you do not have to do this.
But Leia cut him off, her eyes blazing.
I am not your daughter.
With those words, she intensified her attack, pouring all her anger and pain into the lightning. Vader struggled to resist, but his strength was waning. Palpatine watched with a satisfied smile, seeing his plan come to fruition. Vader's vision began to blur, the agony overwhelming. As he felt his life slipping away, his thoughts returned to Padme once more, and to the hope that perhaps, in another life, things could have been different. But there was no place for hope in the darkness of the Sith. Leia's relentless assault did not cease until Vader lay motionless, defeated. Palpatine stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with triumph.
Well done, my apprentice. You have proven yourself worthy. Now, together we will bring the galaxy to its knees.
Leia stood over Vader's fallen form, her heart a mix of triumph and sorrow. The path of the dark side was now irrevocably hers, and with it, the legacy of the Sith would be secured. She had become the ultimate weapon, forged by Palpatine's dark vision and her own indomitable will. The galaxy would soon feel the true power of Darth Valkyria. In this moment of triumph, as she stood over Vader's fallen form, Leia craved more. The taste of power was intoxicating, and she realized that she didn't just want a piece of the pie, she wanted the whole thing. But Leia was cunning and knew she couldn't simply kill Palpatine. The Emperor had the entire Senate wrapped around his finger, and any rash move against him would lead to her swift downfall. She needed to bring the entire structure down from within, while outwardly continuing to carry out Palpatine's orders with unwavering loyalty. Leia began to scheme. The rebellion was in its infancy, barely more than scattered cells of resistance fighters. It wasn't quite a unified rebellion yet, and this presented an opportunity. Leia devised a plan to infiltrate and organize these cells, ostensibly in the name of aiding the fight against the Empire. However, her true intention was to carve a new empire in her name, rising from the ashes of the old. Leia started by covertly gathering intelligence on the various rebel factions. Using her political acumen and the extensive resources at her disposal, she identified key leaders and influential figures within the fledgling rebellion. She approached them carefully, presenting herself as a mysterious but powerful figure within the Empire who sought to dismantle Palpatine's tyranny. To protect her identity, Leia never showed her face, communicating through encrypted messages and holoprojections that obscured her features. Her knowledge of the inner workings of the Empire and her undeniable charisma won her the trust of many. She positioned herself as a crucial ally, someone who could provide strategic insights and vital resources to the struggling resistance. Slowly but surely, she began to unify the disparate cells, coordinating their efforts and turning them into a more formidable force. Leia's involvement in the rebellion allowed her to gather loyal followers who believed in her vision. She subtly guided their actions, always ensuring that they saw her as their savior and leader. The more she helped them achieve small victories against the Empire, the more their loyalty to her grew. Meanwhile, she continued to execute Palpatine's orders, maintaining her cover as his dutiful apprentice. Her outward obedience kept Palpatine's suspicions at bay, allowing her to further entrench herself within the rebellion. she orchestrated covert operations that weakened key Imperial positions while bolstering the strength of the Resistance. Leia's plan was ambitious. She envisioned a galaxy where she ruled not just through fear and power, but with a structured, loyal following that saw her as the rightful leader. She aimed to dismantle Palpatine's empire piece by piece, replacing it with her own version of a new order. This new empire would be forged in her name, with her ideology at its core. As the rebellion grew stronger under her clandestine leadership, Leia began to position herself as an indispensable figure within its ranks. She carefully plotted each move, ensuring that the rebellion's success would ultimately lead to her ascendancy. She orchestrated key battles and intelligence coups that not only weakened the Empire, but also showcased her strategic brilliance. Through her cunning and careful manipulation, Leia set the stage for the rebellion to become a powerful force capable of challenging the Empire. She knew that the time would come when Palpatine's hold on the galaxy would weaken, and she would be ready to strike. At first, Leia needed key figures like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa to help get the rebellion off the ground. Their influence and resources were invaluable in uniting the scattered resistance cells and giving the rebellion a semblance of structure. However, as her vision for a new empire began to take shape, Leia saw them as hindrances to her future plans. They were too soft, too idealistic, and their methods would never achieve the decisive victory she sought. In a pivotal political debate within the rebellion's leadership council, Leia urged for a more aggressive stance against the Empire. She argued that bold, decisive actions were necessary to turn the tide of the conflict. Mon Mothma, ever the voice of caution and diplomacy, opposed this approach, advocating for measured and strategic moves that minimized risk. Despite Leia's compelling arguments, Mon Mothma's influence was still strong, and many within the rebellion sided with her. Leia, with her political background and the teachings of Palpatine, had already won over a significant portion of the council. However, she knew that to fully realize her vision, she needed complete control. She outwardly sided with Mon Mothma's cautious plans, but secretly began to orchestrate a catastrophic failure for the rebellion. Leia covertly leaked vital strategic information to the Empire, ensuring they would ambush the rebellion's forces during a major operation. The resulting battle was a devastating defeat for the rebellion, marked by the Empire's greatest victory and the rebellion's deadliest loss. Ships were destroyed, countless lives were lost, and morale was shattered. The faith in Mon Mothma's leadership was deeply shaken, and the blame for the disaster fell squarely on her shoulders. Seizing the moment, Leia stepped forward as the voice of reason and strength. She presented herself as the leader who could learn from the failure and steer the rebellion towards victory. Her arguments, sharpened by years of training under Palpatine, were compelling, and she was able to win over the remaining dissenters within the council. Mon Mothma, once the heart of the rebellion, was now a figure of diminished authority and trust. With the council now firmly under her influence, Leia knew it was time to remove the final obstacle. One night, under the cover of darkness, she crept into Mon Mothma's residence. The rebellion leader was alone, poring over reports and plans in a futile attempt to salvage the situation. Leia moved silently, her presence a shadow in the dimly lit room. Before Mon Mothma could react, Leia struck. Using the Force, she immobilized her former ally and approached with cold determination.
It's for the future of the rebellion.
With a swift, decisive motion, Leia ended Mon Mothma's life. The deed was done with ruthless efficiency, leaving no evidence that could trace the act back to her. The next day, the news of Mon Mothma's death sent shockwaves through the rebellion. Officially, it was blamed on Imperial assassins, further fueling the resolve against the Empire. Leia's calculated actions had paid off. With Mon Mothma gone, she stood unchallenged as the de facto leader of the rebellion. Her vision of a more aggressive, decisive force began to take shape, and the rebellion transformed under her command. Everything seemed to be going in Leia's favor until a new player emerged in the rebellion's ranks, a Jedi named Luke Skywalker. However, in this timeline, Luke's upbringing was much different. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, acutely aware of Leia's dangerous potential under the Empire's control, decided to take a more direct approach. They trained Luke from birth, ensuring he was equally as strong as Leia, but steeped in the teachings of the Jedi and the light side of the Force. Luke grew up on the hidden world of Dagobah, under the constant guidance of Obi-Wan and Yoda. From a young age, he was taught the principles of the Jedi: compassion, self-discipline, and the defense of the innocent. His training was rigorous and unyielding, preparing him for the immense challenges that lay ahead. The bond he formed with his masters was deep, and their wisdom shaped his understanding of his purpose and the Force. As Luke matured, he became a symbol of hope within the rebellion. His presence galvanized the resistance, his skills in the Force and lightsaber combat proving invaluable in their fight against the Empire. Yet, despite his successes, his true mission was always at the forefront of his mind: to find his sister and bring her back to the light. Leia, upon learning of this powerful new Jedi, initially saw him as a potential ally, a strong apprentice who could be turned to her side. However, as she delved deeper into Luke's background, she realized that he was firmly entrenched in Jedi teachings. Turning him would not be an easy task. His strength and unwavering commitment to the light made him a formidable opponent. Luke, on the other hand, was aware of Leia's true identity from the beginning. Obi-Wan had told him about his twin sister, raised by Palpatine to serve the dark side. Luke's mission was clear. He had to find Leia and bring her back to the light. He understood the immense challenge this posed, but his belief in redemption and the bond they shared as siblings fueled his determination.